Welcome to Captivating Home, where we take you on a journey through slow living, sustainability, and the beauty of upcycled vintage finds. Today, we invite you to explore the heartwarming charm of an Irish cottage garden, where repurposing old treasures breathes new life into the landscape. Imagine strolling through a garden filled with history, where every piece has a story, from rustic iron gates to weathered wooden benches lovingly restored. If you love the idea of transforming forgotten items into functional and beautiful elements, then you're in the right place. This video is all about embracing the slow living lifestyle by upcycling vintage finds to create a magical Irish cottage garden. Make sure to subscribe to Captivating Home for more enchanting ideas. And don't forget to like and comment with your favorite repurposed garden inspiration. Let's dive in. One. Vintage finds turn garden treasures. There is something undeniably charming about incorporating vintage items into a garden space. In an Irish cottage garden, old metal watering cans become planters, salvaged wooden ladders turn into vertical herb gardens, and repurposed stone troughs provide homes for vibrant flowers. These vintage elements not only add character but also help preserve the history of the land, making the garden a true reflection of the past and present. Every upcycled piece has a purpose beyond aesthetics. An antique wheelbarrow, once used for farming, can now serve as a mobile flower bed, moving blooms to different sunlit spots. Old window frames, rescued from renovation projects, become picturesque trellises for climbing roses and ivy. These thoughtful repurposings not only reduce waste but also create a unique garden atmosphere that feels like stepping into a storybook. Two. The beauty of rustic garden furniture. A repurposed Irish cottage garden is incomplete without rustic furniture that tells a story. Weathered wooden benches, once part of an old church or schoolhouse, find new life nestled among wildflowers. Cast iron cafe tables, rescued from vintage markets, become the perfect spot for morning tea surrounded by nature's beauty. These timeless pieces bring an authentic, lived-in feel to the garden, seamlessly blending history with nature. Upcycling old furniture for the garden is not just about sustainability, it's about creating a cozy, welcoming retreat. A salvaged wooden door, transformed into a garden table, can serve as a charming focal point for outdoor gatherings. Vintage chairs with chipped paint and ornate details offer character and comfort. Each piece, with its patina and past, contributes to the timeless appeal of the Irish cottage garden. Three, creative planters and decorative touches. Repurposing vintage items as planters brings a unique charm to an Irish cottage garden. Old cast iron pots, chipped teapots, and even antique dresser drawers can be transformed into whimsical flower containers. These creative touches add an element of surprise and nostalgia, allowing each corner of the garden to tell its own story. The combination of aged materials and lush greenery creates a picturesque, timeless setting. Beyond planters, decorative upcycled accents enhance the beauty of the space. An old bicycle, once left to rust, can become a striking display for cascading flowers. Vintage lanterns, repainted and fitted with solar lights, add a warm glow in the evenings. Even simple touches like repurposed iron bed frames as garden dividers bring both function and charm, making the garden feel like a beautifully curated outdoor sanctuary. Four, stone and wood, a natural harmony. The Irish cottage garden celebrates natural materials, and repurposed stone and wood play a key role in its design. Reclaimed bricks form meandering pathways, guiding visitors through a landscape filled with repurposed treasures. Fallen tree trunks become rustic seating, blending seamlessly into the garden's organic aesthetic. These elements not only enhance the charm but also respect the sustainability principles of slow living. Upcycled wooden beams from old barns can be reimagined as sturdy garden arches, framing entrances with rustic elegance. Broken stone pieces, gathered from historic sites or old walls, are creatively arranged into stepping stones or retaining walls. These thoughtful additions bring depth and texture to the garden while preserving the heritage of the materials, ensuring that every piece has a second life filled with beauty. Five, embracing slow living in the cottage garden. A repurposed Irish cottage garden is more than just a collection of plants and vintage finds. It is a lifestyle that embraces slow living. Here, the beauty of nature is savored, and every repurposed item serves a purpose. Whether it's sipping tea on an antique bench or tending to herbs in a weathered wooden crate, every moment in the garden encourages a connection with the past, present, and the land itself. Upcycling in the garden is an act of mindfulness and creativity. It encourages sustainability while celebrating the charm of aged materials and craftsmanship. By embracing slow living, we cultivate a deeper appreciation for the simple pleasures of tending a garden filled with history and heart. So, step into your own repurposed garden, let nature inspire you, and cherish the beauty of giving forgotten items a new, meaningful purpose. Six. Enchanting garden pathways and borders. In a repurposed Irish cottage garden, pathways and borders are not just functional. They are an opportunity to weave history into the landscape. Old bricks salvaged from demolished buildings can be laid in winding patterns, guiding visitors through a story of the past. Vintage railway sleepers make excellent rustic steps, blending seamlessly with moss and wildflowers. Each repurposed material adds to the garden's timeless character, inviting slow and mindful strolls. The borders of the garden are just as important as the paths. Weathered wooden beams, once part of an old cottage, can be used to frame garden beds, creating a natural division between flowers and herbs. Repurposed wrought iron fencing, rescued from forgotten estates, adds elegance while supporting climbing roses. These carefully chosen materials not only preserve the charm of the past but also create a harmonious, well-defined space. Seven. Water features with a vintage twist. The soothing presence of water adds a sense of peace to any cottage garden, and repurposed elements make for the most enchanting water features. An old cast iron bathtub, once destined for the landfill, can be transformed into a charming wildlife pond, inviting frogs and dragonflies to visit. A vintage hand pump, carefully restored, can serve as a working fountain, its gentle trickle adding a nostalgic touch to the space. Upcycling materials for water features also enhances sustainability. A discarded stone trough, originally used for feeding livestock, can be repurposed into a tranquil water basin for birds. Antique metal buckets, lined with waterproofing materials, can create small cascading waterfalls when stacked creatively. These simple yet effective transformations not only add character but also encourage biodiversity, bringing a vibrant, living energy to the garden. Eight. Greenhouses and cold frames with a story. A traditional Irish cottage garden often includes a greenhouse or cold frame, and what better way to build one than with repurposed materials? Old windows, collected from renovations or salvage yards, can be pieced together to create a rustic greenhouse, allowing light to nourish seedlings while adding vintage charm. Weathered wooden doors can be repurposed as sturdy walls, providing shelter while telling a story of their past use. Smaller cold frames, perfect for extending the growing season, can be crafted from repurposed wooden crates or discarded cabinet doors with glass panels. These thoughtful constructions reduce waste while offering a practical solution for growing herbs and vegetables. By reimagining old materials, the garden remains in harmony with the ethos of slow living, embracing the past while nurturing the future. Nine. Upcycled garden lighting for a magical glow. As the sun sets, an Irish cottage garden takes on a new kind of beauty, especially when illuminated with repurposed lighting. Vintage lanterns, found in flea markets or attics, can be fitted with solar-powered bulbs to create a warm and inviting glow. Old mason jars, filled with fairy lights, become charming hanging lanterns, adding a magical touch to trees and trellises as they twinkle in the night. Upcycling lighting fixtures enhances the ambience without the need for wasteful purchases. Wrought iron candle holders from an antique shop can be mounted onto garden walls, casting flickering shadows that dance with the evening breeze. Even rusted tin cans, carefully punctured with delicate patterns, can become rustic luminaries, spreading soft light along pathways. These gentle illuminations make the garden feel like a storybook retreat after dark. Ten. Vintage kitchenware as functional garden decor. A repurposed Irish cottage garden often borrows from the charm of the past, and vintage kitchenware offers endless creative possibilities. Enamel teapots, chipped yet full of character, make delightful planters for herbs like thyme and lavender. Old cast iron skillets, no longer used for cooking, can be mounted onto walls as decorative accents or transformed into bird feeders, bringing life and movement to the space. Even the smallest details contribute to the garden's charm. Mismatched ceramic cups and saucers, once tucked away in cupboards, can be repurposed as tiny seedling pots, perfect for nurturing delicate sprouts. Antique milk jugs, once a staple in Irish farmhouses, now serve as elegant vases for fresh-cut wildflowers. By giving these kitchen relics a second life, the garden becomes a celebration of heritage and creativity. (11) Salvaged iron and metal accents in the garden. The beauty of an Irish cottage garden is found in its mix of textures, and salvaged iron and metal add a touch of rustic elegance. Old iron gates, once part of a grand estate, can be repurposed into garden dividers or trellises, allowing climbing plants to weave through their intricate designs. Weathered metal watering cans, hung from wooden posts, become both functional tools and charming decorative elements. Even small details can make a big impact. Rusted horseshoes, symbols of good luck, can be arranged along garden paths or incorporated into decorative accents. Discarded iron bed frames, with their ornate designs, serve as unique trellises for ivy and roses, transforming forgotten pieces into functional garden art. These repurposed metal elements bring both history and beauty, blending seamlessly with the surrounding greenery. (12) Timeless garden gates and entrances. The entrance to a repurposed Irish cottage garden sets the tone for the entire space, and upcycled gates add an air of rustic charm. An old wooden door, once part of a farmhouse, can be repainted and repurposed as a garden gate, welcoming visitors with its weathered elegance. Wrought iron gates salvaged from antique shops can be restored and adorned with climbing roses, creating a fairy tale-like entrance. Repurposed materials can also frame entrances in creative ways. Wooden shutters, no longer needed for windows, can be arranged as side panels for an inviting entryway. Even salvaged stone columns, recovered from historic ruins, can be placed as decorative markers, guiding guests into the heart of the garden. These thoughtfully upcycled pieces turn the entrance into more than just an entry. It becomes a passage into a timeless and enchanting world. (13) Rustic arbors and pergolas from reclaimed materials. A repurposed Irish cottage garden often features arbors and pergolas made from salvaged materials, adding structure and timeless beauty. Weathered wooden beams from old barns can be transformed into a sturdy pergola, offering shade and a framework for climbing plants like wisteria and roses. These rustic structures create a natural retreat, inviting visitors to pause and enjoy the garden's charm while honoring the past. Repurposing iron gates or salvaged wooden ladders as arbors provides a whimsical touch while reducing waste. A pair of antique doors can be repurposed into a garden archway, leading into a hidden section of the garden. These handcrafted elements not only add personality but also create a sense of mystery and romance, making each step through the garden a journey of discovery. (14) Upcycled birdhouses and wildlife havens. Encouraging wildlife in the garden aligns with the slow-living ethos, and upcycled birdhouses offer a sustainable way to welcome feathered visitors. Old wooden tea boxes, repurposed with small openings, can serve as cozy nesting spots. Vintage tin containers, carefully modified, become charming bird sanctuaries, blending beautifully with the rustic aesthetic of the Irish cottage garden. Beyond birdhouses, other salvaged materials can create havens for wildlife. An old ceramic sink, turned into a shallow water basin, invites birds and butterflies to drink. Broken clay pots stacked together provide shelter for beneficial insects like ladybugs and bees. These thoughtful additions ensure that the garden is not just a feast for the eyes but also a thriving ecosystem, brimming with life. (15) Garden signage with a vintage touch. Handcrafted garden signs add charm and personality, especially when made from reclaimed materials. Weathered wooden planks, once part of an old fence, can be painted with poetic quotes or plant names, marking different areas of the garden. Vintage metal trays, repurposed as hanging signs, bring a nostalgic feel, guiding visitors to herb patches, flower beds, or secret corners. Upcycled signage is not only decorative but also deeply personal. An old slate roof tile can be turned into a chalkboard-style garden marker, easily updated with seasonal plantings. Antique spoons, flattened and engraved, serve as quirky plant labels, adding a touch of whimsy. These small yet meaningful details transform the garden into a storybook landscape, filled with hidden messages and rustic charm. 16. Weathered shutters and windows as garden art. Vintage shutters and windows, no longer in use, can be reimagined as stunning garden art. A distressed wooden shutter, mounted on a garden wall, can become a vertical planter, filled with trailing ivy or vibrant flowers. Old window frames, without glass, create picturesque garden mirrors when placed strategically to reflect light and greenery. These timeless elements add depth and visual interest to the space. 'Repurposed windows also serve a functional purpose. Placed along a garden path, they create the illusion of hidden doors leading to secret garden rooms. A salvaged stained glass panel, positioned between climbing roses, adds a pop of color when sunlight filters through. By embracing these forgotten pieces, the garden transforms into an enchanting retreat where history and nature coexist in harmony. 17. Whimsical fairy garden corners from upcycled finds. A repurposed Irish cottage garden wouldn't be complete without a touch of whimsy, and upcycled materials offer the perfect way to create a fairy garden corner. Old wooden crates, stacked and filled with moss, serve as miniature cottages. Vintage teacups, filled with tiny succulents, add a magical touch, as if fairies have left their treasures behind in the garden's hidden nooks. 'Even the smallest found objects can add charm. A rusted key, tucked into a tree's bark, suggests the entrance to a secret world. Broken terracotta pots, arranged into cascading fairy staircases, bring a sense of playfulness. With creativity and a love for repurposing, even the most ordinary items become part of an enchanting fairy tale woven into the landscape. 18. Rustic trellises for climbing plants. Trellises are essential in a cottage garden, and repurposing materials for them adds to the authenticity of the space. An old wooden ladder, leaned against a stone wall, makes a perfect trellis for climbing beans or sweet peas. Salvaged iron headboards, once part of antique bed frames, provide sturdy and ornate support for roses, blending beauty with function. 'Repurposed trellises not only support plants but also create charming focal points. Woven willow branches, collected from pruned trees, can be crafted into natural trellises, blending seamlessly into the landscape. Even discarded bicycle wheels, mounted on wooden posts, offer a creative structure for vines to climb. These unique solutions ensure the garden remains sustainable while embracing the rustic elegance of upcycled design. 19. Salvaged stone features for a timeless touch. Stone has a timeless presence in Irish cottage gardens, and repurposed stone pieces add a sense of history. Weathered millstones, once used for grinding grain, can be transformed into striking garden tables or stepping stones. Salvaged bricks, with their worn edges and faded hues, create picturesque garden walls that blend seamlessly with the surrounding flora. 'Even broken stone can find new life in the garden. Cracked marble slabs can be arranged into mosaic pathways, leading visitors through the garden in a truly artistic way. Salvaged stone pillars, reclaimed from old buildings, stand as rustic sculptures among the greenery. These thoughtful additions ensure that every part of the garden carries a piece of history while honoring the beauty of natural materials. 20. The heart of slow living, enjoying the garden's beauty. A repurposed Irish cottage garden is more than just a collection of plants and vintage finds, it is a reflection of a slow and mindful way of life. Each carefully upcycled element tells a story, connecting the gardener to the past while embracing a sustainable future. Whether it's sipping tea under a reclaimed wooden pergola or listening to birds nesting in an upcycled birdhouse, the garden becomes a sanctuary of peace and creativity. The charm of upcycling in the garden is not just about reducing waste. It's about finding beauty in the old and giving it new purpose. It's about treasuring moments of quiet reflection, walking along winding brick paths, and feeling the warmth of history beneath your fingertips. Thank you for joining Captivating Home on this journey of slow living and vintage charm. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more enchanting garden inspiration. Embracing the timeless beauty of a repurposed cottage garden. As we come to the end of this journey through the enchanting world of repurposed Irish cottage gardens, one thing becomes clear: beauty is not found in the new, but in the stories woven into old, cherished pieces. Every salvaged gate, weathered stone, and upcycled treasure breathes new life into the garden, creating a space that feels both timeless and deeply personal. In embracing slow living, we cultivate not just flowers, but a way of life that values creativity, sustainability, and connection to the past. Let this be an inspiration to look at forgotten objects with fresh eyes, to see potential in the discarded, and to craft a garden that tells a story with every step. Thank you for being a part of Captivating Home. If you've enjoyed this journey, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more inspiration on slow living, upcycling, and the timeless charm of vintage gardens. Until next time, may your garden be filled with beauty, history, and a touch of magic.